Miss you. You should come to church more often. That's kind of funny. Hi, everybody. Monica Morgan here. Today I have 10 cards from one kit from the May 2019 Simon Says Stamp Card Kit of the Month. And the first card I'm calling my church card. And that paper that I'm holding there, I made using the backside of photo paper and the pearl alcohol inks that came in the kit. And I made a bunch of different, actually I tested it on a bunch of different surfaces, and that is in another video. So I'm just looking at a layout right now, and I decided I want to make the panel on the front black so that the windows will pop through the back, and make the windows out of some gold paper that I had. And that purple right there, I just had cut it earlier and I used it as a template so I didn't have to measure again. I don't like measuring. So that's coming along good. So I'm assembling all of the different elements. And that card base I got from Michaels. I buy them in the big packs of like 80, and then I have different colors to choose from. And here is when I thought it would be nice to have like a window pane. So I grabbed one of the bags that I use to package my cards, and I just cut out a size that would fit. And I used double-sided tape to mount both the acetate and the black panel. So I adhered the acetate, and now the black panel I adhere. I flipped it over to make it centered. And I just think that looks great. And now I'm popping in the little gold frames. And I cut those out of my own cutting die. That did not come in the kit. In this card, the only thing that came in the kit is the alcohol inks. Oh, and the sentiment, which is here, where I thought it would be funny to make a card that says, "Miss you, you should come to church more often." So that's why I chose that sentiment. I don't know what other sentiment to put with a church card. You take a dryer sheet. You take a little bit of baby powder and you fold it up on itself. And we'll fold it over. It smells good too. And you fold it up this way and up this way. And then you can come up like that. Use your little clips that you buy that you never know what to do with. And there you go. An anti-static embossing powder bag. So I'm applying my embossing powder on a little gold tag that I cut out with one of my own cutting dies. And I'm going to use that stamp from the kit that says, "Miss you." And I'm explaining here that I like to keep the ink pad on the table and press down so I can see through the clear block if the ink is getting onto the stamp. Those stamps, oh man, they stamp awesome. I've been using them like crazy, and they're so nice. So I stamped that on a gold tag that I already had, and I heat embossed it, but it was really not effective because it was so thin. And then I put a little ribbon on it, and that's it for that card. All right, so for my second card, I really have been wanting to learn watercoloring, and I figured with my channel, it's the perfect place to do it. You really do learn by teaching. So my theory is that I'm going to learn how to watercolor, and you'll be able to learn with me because I'm a novice, and if you're a novice, you'll see what I go through. It's not like I'm showing you what to do and I have 30 years of experience. I have a different perspective. So with that in mind, what I'm doing here is pretty cool. I'm making a mask to hide the stamp of the flower, so it'll look like the leaves are coming from behind the flower. There's tons of tutorials on masking. And I'm stamping the flower and the leaves and the little rosebud on watercolor paper with VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I found that that works the best for watercolors. And it took me a little bit to remember which one was which, because I bought Memento Tuxedo Black ink too, but I think that's more for Copics. And this works great for watercolors. So see, I'm just putting the mask. Let me explain what a mask is. It's just a piece of sticky paper that I cut the shape of what I want to mask off. And I used a label paper from an office supply store. And you can buy masking paper, which is probably better because this label paper got pretty sticky, although it did work for this card. And this is the magic. When you peel off the mask and you see how the leaves look like they're coming from behind the flower, that's so cool. Now comes the watering color part. So I've been watching a few of my favorite watercoloring YouTubers, and I'll put their names in links in the description below. And there's a couple of techniques I'm learning. And so this video is really for a beginner or somebody that has the kit that wants to try this. And so what I've learned is to wet each section of the petal with water. And I found that I didn't mind if it had a little bit of color in it as well, because it seemed like when I went back to highlight it or add more color, it didn't matter that there was only water. So now I'm trying to make an effect where it bleeds out from the corner into the other area, but it wasn't wet enough. And I didn't want it to puddle right there, so I dried it off with a paper towel, and then I got it wet enough. And now I'm going back over the other petals because I feel like it doesn't really matter if they're wet enough or not, because the seeping thing isn't quite working. I was being conscious of not going past the black line in each of the petals, although I think at some places it actually did. Now I'm learning here that you can erase your watercolors, which is pretty cool because you can't do that with Copic markers. It's very difficult with Prismacolor pencils, but if you get to it fast enough, apparently you can eliminate it. So now I'm just going back in and I'm trying to add some highlights and shadows just here and there. You see how I got them on the petals there? And now I'm adding my sentiment. I sent him in to get it for you, but he never came back. And here I'm just looking for a color, a base with a good color to match, and that worked fine for me. I get those bases from Michaels. It's not near as strong as the paper that came in the kit, which I am going to use for a couple other cards. Their paper is nice. It's like even thicker than what you would find a Hallmark card in the store. I didn't like the green metallic gel pen, so I went back over it with a black gel pen. So that's it for that card, and let's see what else I can do. So I was watching YouTube this morning, and I saw Christina Werner do another one of her fabulous jobs, and I got inspired by it, so I decided I would try it and show you guys my version of it. And right there, I'm sketching the layout of it. She used a bunch of leaves, and I was thinking of using the leaves that came in the stamp set and not the flowers. Her leaves were from a different stamp set. And then she masked off her area with a circle. So now I'm looking for my leaves that will work, that will come up from the bottom. I'm going to need some space at the bottom there for where the leaf stems are going to fall off of the edge of the watercolor paper. This bag that says pink on it is a sampling of how I store my extra die cuts that I've cut that I decided not to use. And I have one for each color. Better to sort them by color than by shape or by cutting die. So right now I'm just creating a spacer that I can use for how far I want my watercolor paper to be away from the edge. And I'm using that heart as my mask for this card. So I can use those 3 leaves right there. So unlike Christina Werner's, where hers went straight up and down, so cute, I just went off track and decided to make a full frame of leaves around the heart, which I'm glad, because it's now my idea, not hers, even though I was inspired by her. And I think that's what most of the card tutorial ladies that are the masters want from us. They want us to be inspired, but they don't want us to copy exactly. Besides, what good is that? How can you develop your craft if you're just copying? So what's the percentage of your successes and fails of learning from another tutorial? I would like to start a series called Learning from the Masters, where I take a tutorial that you all vote on and see how hard or easy it is to do. See, I'm getting a complete frame of leaves all the way around that heart, and I have to make sure that I go into the heart with some of the leaves so that you can see the edge when it's said and done. So I'm building a palette of colors that I think I'm going to use. I'm first going to be painting the leaves in a couple of different shades of green. Nothing special, just a couple of two-tone effects I'm trying to do. So I wasn't quite sure how to go about this. I thought, well, I need just water first, right? And then the color. But now the brush for the color is kind of big. And I wanted it to spill out into the trough of plain water that I made. So far what I've learned is that it's really more important the paper, and this is good paper. The paint doesn't matter as much, and I don't want to spend a lot of money on watercolor paints until I know for sure it's what I want to do, which I'm pretty sure it's going to be, but I really don't know which ones to buy yet. So I'm going to practice with these ones, and so as you see, I'm trying to make it go from dark in the corners and light in the center area, but I'm just in love with watercolor. So once again, I'm just wetting the area that I'm going to fill with color. They say that the color will only go where there is water, but I kind of think I expected it to bleed up in there, and it's not moving, and I'm not sure why, so I just help it move. So I'm just moving along, and I'm trying to add moisture, and some of it has a little bit of the green shade in it, but I just thought that that was okay because I'm going to go back in with it later and add even darker areas in the corners. And it dries lighter than when it's wet. Here, I think I just said, oh, well, I'm just going to go all a full solid color because I can still come in darker yet after this because it dries lighter. So I hope you like learning this way with me, like in real time, what I went through, what I experienced. I think this is a great way to learn. Rather than me telling you what to do, I'll tell you what I found out. Once again, I'm just doing the whole surface a solid color. And here I'm going back in on the first set of leaves that I did, and I'm trying to get the darkness in the corners. See how I had them dark before, now they dried back real light. And so I'm giving it more gusto. I'm adding more paint. There I go. See, I had to add even more. But as I do each leaf, I feel more and more confident. And now is when I was looking for something tiny to fill in the gaps, and there was nothing on that stamp set. So I grabbed a $2 stamp set that I got from Joann's the other day, and it had the cutest little tropical-looking flowers on there. It's a pineapple set. $2. And now I got another dye ink from Hampton Arts. I just buy those in the little cubicle things of 6. They're not expensive, but I just don't have a budget for a lot of things. So I use what I can, and I'll use them and see if you guys think they're worth getting. I don't see any trouble with these. So I got really glittery. And I went to my stash of glitter paper and my hearts, and I made a frame. And that would have been fine right there, except for the word love smudged. So I thought, well, I'm going to decorate it up even more. I add another frame on the inside, and then I go even a step smaller. You know those little Russian dolls, one inside the other, one inside the other. And then I heat emboss this. But you know what? That print is so fine. That line on there is so fine. It's not worth heat embossing it. But you really can't even tell there's anything done to it. So, but I then popped it up, and I put those flowers on earlier. I didn't show you that part, but those were from my stash. So there you go. Finally, I think that's not quite Christina's, but it's good. Well, I hope you enjoyed that and that you learned something or were inspired. And I want to say thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. I have some really cool projects coming up. Bye-bye. Don't forget there's part 2 of this video, and it should be coming up next on your playlist. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.